where the super cool kids show up and do super cool kid things. Great to have you here, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. I have to start with a disclaimer, right? Something for the lawyers. Hey, good morning, Max Term. Guys, this is an educational room. The entire day is going to be dedicated to watching the live markets. If on TradingView, we're just going to watch NASDAQ. Guys, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to watch every market that you want to watch. How come? Because the patterns are the same. Good morning, OG. Guys, the patterns for TradingView are the exact same patterns for gold, for the NASDAQ, for the S&P, for Bitcoin, for XRP, for all of it. The same is true on NinjaTrader, guys. The patterns are the patterns are the patterns. So if you don't see your market being traded in the room, and you're trying to learn the patterns, that's okay. That's good stuff for you. I'm not opposed to switching it every now and then, but as we get into this brand new format, guys, I want to keep it as consistent as possible. So if you see me enter the market in this room, and guys, I will for educational purposes all day long, it means that either the NinjaTrader, the automated system, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, the automated system is set to 32 flavors of conservative to really focus on the best of the best. But we will only enter if the system enters for us. We will let the system initiate all entries. Initial stops will go below synthetic triggers. We'll chase reversal bars. We'll use areas for targets, guys. And then the same on TradingView. We will only be taking trend trades if the rules are met. And again, this is an educational room, guys. If I am trying to intentionally lose a trade for a lesson, I'll try to say it out loud. But I rarely do that. So the automated system, what is the automated system? For those of you that aren't familiar with it, guys, this is taking everything that Nexgen has taught for about the last, well, I don't know, 20 years. The idea that momentum, path, and entry create the perfect trade, what we call a high probability trade. And with some solid management, this is the best of the best. This is what the automated system has been built around. For TradingView, it's the same idea. So in NinjaTrader, a high probability trend trade, let me just do it on this so I don't open a million pictures. A high probability trend trade means that you are establishing a trend, recognizing a trend, committing to a trend, waiting for a little fight somewhere in the middle of that trend, whether it happens once, twice, 20 times. The software will be pinpointing the best entry, and the hope is that the trend resumes. If you are on TradingView, it's no different. Defining a trend, believing in the trend, recognizing the trend, waiting for a fight, and using 3 simple rules to identify the perfect trend trade. And guys, this is what we do all day long. So as we go through the day, and you're like, oh my gosh, he's not doing any trading at all. There's a reason. And that reason is that 90% of your day is doing nothing. Successful trend traders or successful day traders sit still a lot. Your trades should be testable. They should be provable. They should be verifiable. And before you walk away from testing, you should be able to prove that the pattern you're trading gives you the potential to win more than it loses. Which means that when you take your, where's the picture? Man, I've got so many pictures. When you take your TradingView trend trade, you have to believe this is my pattern. And what you guys are showing me is somewhere in the 75% range using this methodology. Guys, give me a Y if you can hear me, please. I think it's Pete's computer. Yeah, that's what I thought. We lose Pete at 9:04 a.m. every day. Thanks, everybody. The same is true for the high probability trend trade, guys. If you're using discretion, and taking this trade 100% as intended. This is a trade that typically wins 70 to 80% of the time. As we get into the automated system, I don't have that number yet. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't have that number yet. Management is going to affect it. Your entry settings are going to affect it. But you can see the entry conditions that we're looking at right now. This is what John Novak has given me. This is what John Novak has says, hey, you know what? This is conservative. And I asked him, and I used the phrase, I said, John, I have a metric shit ton of reasons to enter the trade conditions. And that was his reply. It's better, more conservative. So guys, it's not looking for every move, it's looking for the best moves. And the same is true on TradingView. We're not looking for every move. We are defining a trend, waiting for a fight, and making sure that we have a clear path if the market gives an entry. That's it. So that is going to be our day. Are there any questions before we really get going? I'm going to take the first few minutes of class and I'm going to click on the charts that you guys have already posted today. We're going to talk about them. Hopefully I can give you a little feedback. And then when the market opens and things start cranking, we will get into that live market. And I'm going to open up my response to this one too. Dun, 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 Miss Jen. And then we'll throw a little lesson on prairie dogs in there because that's what we do. I like this new format. I don't know about you guys. I think watching a live market and talking about what we see tends to be pretty advantageous for you guys. It's one thing to study something historically. It's another thing to watch it in a live market and to say, this is what the market is doing right now. This is how this right now moment fits into my rules. Almost there on the pictures presented. One more from Victor. All right. Quick reminder, news. Guys, every day there is red flag news. Well, not every day, but every day that there is red flag news, there is red flag news. So those of you that are in your semi-live accounts with the Nexgen Pro Trader funding, it is prohibited to trade 1 minute before until 1 minute after. And guys, my least favorite part of the day is taking a video of you guys trading during red flag news. That's it. I literally have to take a video, snap pictures, and go shut down every one of these accounts. And all of your hard work on evaluations, the money that you spent on going semi-live is gone. It's in the rules. We send out warnings every day, guys. It's one of the most silly ways to lose an account. Yours is not there, Victor. So check your news every day. This was an awesome look. This is Paul looking for trend trades, and Paul says, and Paul, it's incomplete annotation for sure. And he says, close above the small triggers, didn't enter. And is your reason because the 15-minute was on the weak side? That was the question that I had with this picture. Did you choose not to enter because it was the weak side, which is your right? 100%. It is, however, not a rule. The weak side of the triggers, guys, there are 3 places. No, you're okay. There are 3 places the most current price can be trading in relationship to the small triggers that define a trend. If you are left of the triggers, it's the strong side. Looking for longs, but this is the biggest, most powerful push. 1 minute areas have the potential to break. Now, if you are to the right of the triggers, this is the weak side. Still looking for long trades. They are no less, what's the word we're looking for here? They are still on the table. Let's say that. But your management changes because 1 minute areas more likely to bounce. So what we're looking at, guys, is when you define a trend, and this is good that we can knock all this out before the market gets going. When you define a trend, and Paul, here's my picture on it. This is your read. The triggers are up. I'm only looking for long trades. There is room to trouble. Rule number 1 is met. And then weak side, the 1 minute areas may create a bounce, which means that I'm going to have assertive profit taking at the first sign of trouble. Your entry rules say wait for the pullback to an area with a close above the small triggers. And now what happens here, Paul, is that room to targets absolutely destroys this trade. Why on earth would you put all that risk on a trade for 80 bucks? However, this close above the small triggers from 63 gave more than enough money to get to that area that was most likely to create a bounce. So if you choose not to enter here, that's cool. That makes sense. But the rules are no less true on this reversal bar up that closes above the triggers from an area with plenty of room to get to the area that did in fact create a bounce. Does that make sense, Paul? So weak side of the triggers, man, weak side of the triggers shouldn't talk you out of a trade, guys, because when you talk about the sides of the triggers, you can go from the weak side of the triggers all the way to the strong side of the triggers in one bar on that 15-minute chart. And that's exactly what happened here. From the weak side of the triggers all the way to the strong side of the triggers in one bar. I would hate to miss the perfect short trade because I'm demanding the strong side. Now, you're allowed to demand the strong side, but weak versus strong is nothing more than an awesome way for you to understand how you may manage that trade based on the strength of the move. Great pictures, Paul. Thank you for sharing that. And I just wanted to make sure that you got this as well, guys. I had a buddy of mine tell me, "Oh, I'm on the weak side. I can't go long anymore." And it's just not true. It just means that you're going to change your management thought a little bit. Triggers up, weak side, room to trouble. There's the close above, absolutely no room because they're into an area. The market comes back, closes above again, absolutely no room into an area again. Guys, this is rule number 2 that says if you initiate a trade, make sure that you have enough room to make money. Jen recognized that the 1 minute area could definitely create a bounce, and she chose not to take the trade. This is one of the most broken rules, is trading directly into something that could create a bounce. And then I want to give a little lesson on the prairie dog, and I don't know where your picture went for that, Jen. Guys, if there's 2 ways to take trend trades, long and short. And if price reaches an area of resistance, that's where short trades come from. Good morning, Miss Jen. And if price reaches an area of support, that's exactly where long trades come from. And what Jen's picture was, and I thought that I had it, Jen. Let me see if I can find it. Was it this one? No. I missed your prairie dog picture. Hold on. Let me go to the one right before where I started talking about prairie dogs. There we go. No, I got you right here. And I think this is the one. So this is the one. We were on it, which is cool. I just had to make sure. Boom, boom, boom. No, I just forgot to click on it. So directly into trouble. And then Jen called this a prairie dog. Like, I'm sure there was a question mark there. And we got a pretty good a lesson on this one. If the market pulls to an area, whoops, that area is support. And this is exactly where long trades come from. And that area of support never changes its role. Does that make sense, Jen? Because in order to change a role, I would have to see a complete 4 corners of a bar print below that area. So if long trades come from an area of support, boom, 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 boom. Do we get that picture? No, my goodness, Jen, I'm breaking things this morning. If long trades come from an area of support, does a close above the small triggers at an area of support qualify as a trade? I say absolutely it does, 100%. But Jen, that didn't close above triggers. It didn't give you the perfect trade. That was your close above triggers. But do you see how it's not a prairie dog? It's not peeking its head from below support, making you believe support is resistance. Awesome. That's a good lesson in there. And what happens, guys, is people go long right here saying, oh, well, I got above the area, but you didn't. It just peeked its head like a prairie dog. And people go short here. And they go, well, I got below that area, but you really didn't. It just peeked its head like a prairie dog. That's been a really good lesson for an awful lot of people. All right. Triggers up, only longs. And then here's that good example. Price hits support, goes back into resistance, comes back to support, and gives the full body below, turning support into resistance. And then Jen, by the time they get back above, just a ridiculous 6:30 a.m. spike. Somebody woke up, had a Red Bull, and launched it. And just no trades to be had here. Great job following your plan. Triggers are down. Room to trouble. There's the pullback to the area. Huge close below. And Jen says, I chose not to take this trade because it was too great a risk versus the target. The risk is up here at 76. The entry is all the way down here at 64. So you're already $240 to contract. And there's only 4 points to get to trouble, 5, 6 points to get to trouble. And Jen says, I don't like that. I don't want to risk 3 times my profit potential. And Jen, I think that's an intelligent decision made by a very savvy trader. Nicely done. Everything is down. Room to the mid band. Pull back to the area and just directly into a zone, right? And then more of that psychosis. Lots of waiting and trading. And this is where you start to get frustrated, right, Jen? Where you start saying, I knew it was going to go up. I should have taken the long. I knew it was going to go down. I should have taken the short. But you knew it was going to go down right here. And you made a great decision to not take it because the area stopped it and bounced it. So, guys, try not to base your plan on the one thing that happened. Try to base your plan on the 20 times that you see that thing happen. And that you say to yourself, man, out of the 20 times, 15 of them won. That's an edge. That's an advantage. Pete, man, this picture made me so happy. Pete says, check it out, guys. That termination reverses the market. That's a strong top. Anytime you have a strong top on these Renko bars, guys, typically you get a pretty good move the other direction. And then Pete gets what we call odds favorable momentum, OFM, separation between the small and large, letting him know that the market has some giddy up. Pete, your first entry, and you knew it, and look at his annotations. Weak entry, should have just waited for the pullback to let it turn into a trend trade. And that's what he does. He goes, man, I made a mistake. And that's okay. We make mistakes. You can't undo it. But what he did do is he said, this is the entry that I should have waited for. So instead of getting all up in my feels about making a mistake, I'm just going to add on to the right trade. And it was beautiful. Slip of the mouse, but managed 6 ticks for 240. No worries. And then this is, Pete, this is what made me so happy. I hope you're listening because I love praising you guys. Had the exact same look down here, and Pete said, whoa, I can't jump into a momentum trade without momentum. I learned my lesson. I had to sit through all of this. My gosh, I'm going bald and gray. Let me just take the perfect trend trade. And he damn near sold the high tick. And it allowed him to make money and get out with a loss of momentum and not take the next trade because of the pattern recognition. Pete, I love everything about this chart. This chart is the perfect large chart, a small mistake with a great recovery, and then learning from your lesson, not getting excited about the market running down, but saying, you know what? I've got a pattern that I can prove wins more than it loses. That's outstanding. And then sometimes the market is screaming with absolutely nothing in the way. The trend trade missed you, I guess is the best way to say it. They didn't quite get to the area, and Pete goes, wait a minute. If I were in that trend trade, I know where my targets are. I've got plenty of room. Let me jump in. Let me go ahead and try and get paid a little bit on this. Even if they didn't give me my entry, I know the expectation of a trend trade. There should be plenty of room. Nicely done. Yeah, that's where they just don't get you. And for a lot of us in the beginning, it's simply not our money. We're not taking the trade. Guys, when you start learning the software and using it a little bit, you begin to recognize a lot of advantages outside of the very basic conservative stuff that we talk about in this room every day. Where entry should have been, I don't disagree. One-to-ones help hold up resistance. Let me see. So Paul, trading directly into trouble, right? The trend is down. There's the pullback to the area. And then you take a prairie dog. Does that make sense, Paul? These bars turn this into support. This is not anything that we teach. That would be that prairie dog that we talked about earlier. And let's do a visual on it. Right here, we're looking at resistance as the market comes up. Once that bar prints, your resistance instantly changes into support. So one of the things that you can do to avoid all of this heartache is just say short trades don't come from areas of support. And then the market pulls here, turns it into resistance again with a full bar below. Boom, 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 right there. We turn into resistance again. Then the market pulls back, never turns it into support. There's your close below small triggers, Paul. It's a much better entry. It has considerably less risk, and it still goes right where it was supposed to. Does that make sense? I don't know about you guys. I hate having to put 50 points of risk on a trade. And that's exactly what this calls for. Over here, it's about 17 or 18. Big difference, guys. Huge difference. There's this calm, and you're welcome, Paul. There's this calm, this easy feeling that comes with believing that the market's coming back for you. There's this like mellow that happens when you know that the futures markets trade billions hourly, and sometimes it's better to just wait. Sometimes it's better to just sit on your hands, do a little bit of nothing, and wait for your perfect trade. Because, guys, this is your money. It's worth it. Triggers down. You had room back to trouble. Pulls back to the area. There's your close. There's your entry. There's your money. Right at trouble. And then, Paul, this is you again, right, Paul? I want you guys to really believe. Lines on a large chart stop things, right? Lines on a large chart can stop things. You had $240 at your first profit target directly into trouble. So you turned a $480 trade into a $250 trade. Does that make sense, Paul? And you're on the weak side of the triggers, so there's no reason to believe that area is going to halt or break just arbitrarily. And you can even see that they tried and they tried, and that was their third effort to break that area. The difference between $480 and $250 is huge, guys. It's the difference between being done in a couple trades and having to trade all day to hit your goals. Great entry. Beautiful entry, 100% perfection. A willingness to get paid. It's crazy how reluctant we are to exit trades because what if, right? It's that what if monster. What if, even though I hit a large chart target, it just arbitrarily breaks and gives me $1 million? And guys, that'll talk you into doing some pretty crazy things. It really will. Strong trending market, everything is screaming down. Absolutely nothing in the way. Jump the fudge in, make some money. And I love this. Pete gets in and he says, everything is screaming. This is what we call a strong trending market, 30 plus bars, broken areas. And we just assume that the momentum is outstanding. And Pete rides that momentum and he says, I'm going to hang on to this thing until it starts to give me an indication that momentum may be slowing. And I love the quick profits. It's only momentum. And then just hold in. Let it give you a little more. Great way to capitalize. Nicely done. And this is the same trade, right? No matter how strong a trend is, take your profits when you lose momentum. Amen. Guys, what's the goal of trading? I ask this every classroom over and over. What's the goal of trading? Get paid. That's it. That's the whole goal of trading, guys, is to get paid. And then like the subset, right? Not give it all back for silly reasons. I guess that's the other thing on trading, right? Learn how to get paid. Learn how to get money in the bank. It takes, and I love pulling up the calculator for you guys. If you average $400 a day over the course of a trading year, 6 figures. 6 figures at only $400 a day. Do you have to be in every move to make $400 a day? Do you have to be the last one out or the first one in? Absolutely not. Guys, learn how to get paid. You will be absolutely floored at what's available to you. Triggers down. You went long. Everything said down and you went long. Oops. I'm just going to assume that that's a mistake. Large chart said down. Wrong direction. Mistakes happen, right? Mistakes happen. And it looks like you realized it. No, you held it just in case. It's okay. That's what we call avoidable losses. Now you want to hear something cool, Paul? So two things. Two things here. Let me drop my font. Font dropping. If this chart doesn't say go look for an entry, why on earth are you looking at the small chart first? Everything that we teach on this says the large chart has to define trend and room to targets first. You should be going through this every trade. Every trade, this chart shouldn't even exist until this chart says go. And this is, and Paul, you're not alone on this. People will look at the small chart and go, whoa, that's a long entry. And you're right, that's exactly what a long entry looks like. But the people in control wanted it to go down. Good lesson. And now here's the other half of that lesson. Are you ready? If you had believed in that divergence low, Paul, the $280 you could have gotten paid there takes care of every bit of this except 80 bucks. One of the reasons willingness to get paid is so important. There's times for break even. Make sure that your management plan is every bit as rigorous as your entry plan. Triggers down, strong side, more than I deserve. Pull back to the area. There's your close. Profits at the outer band. Giant bounce all the way back to resistance. But the rules are still met. He's already in. And then the second one goes down to the outer band again. There you go. How far deep did you go? From 31, 37? So Victor, even though you hit an outer band, right at an HVA, with strong triggers up, after a termination, you chose to leave $160 per contract, risk on a trade. Targets reached. Does that make sense? That's a lot. Wouldn't you agree? That's a tremendous amount of risk. It went from 24 to 37, 13, $260 in the negative after profits. Why not get paid? You guys do your own thing. But I'm telling you, Nexgen has gone to just crazy lengths to give you the best entry ever. You're going to have to do a little work and figure out how to manage it. And I encourage you guys to remember, it's okay to get paid. It's okay to get paid. Same thing. Perfect entry. Could have made all the money right here. You did catch it here. Had to sit through all of that for 40 extra bucks. And then give it all back. Here they're like, seriously guys, what a great target. Here they're like, y'all are pretty good to children and puppies. Let me give you another shot to get out. They gave you every warning shot you could ever get, guys. Triggers are down. Weak side. Room to trouble. Price closes on the right side of the triggers. Directly into everything. Victor, tell me you see it. Tell me that you see the mid band, all that stuff, right? The triggers up, and it looks like there might have even been one-to-ones there. Looks like you might have even had some one-to-ones there. I'm not sure if those are. And again, guys, if it's been to the target, price going past doesn't fix it though, right, Victor? Takes a full body of a bar. We learned this lesson yesterday. Price going past one-to-ones doesn't do anything for them. But it's already been there, right? It's already hit its target. It's already started back up. You have odds favorable momentum against it and absolutely nowhere to go. No room for the trade. That's $410 that should still be in your account. That's all right. Guys, we've got to learn these lessons. We've got to learn these lessons. We've got to make the mistakes so we know how to avoid them. So don't beat yourself up. Weak side, room to trouble, close above. Oh, that's the one that I reopened. We already talked about that one. Triggers are down. Nowhere to go. Do you guys see it? We're in a zone. Nowhere to go. That's a bouncy thing. Let it break. All right, let's go see who's next. Did we get Victor, Paul? I think we got those. Did we get that? Yep. All right. GWC, Paul, Claire, Victor, and Jen. And then, guys, we're going to go to the live market. So, saw that one. Dun, 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 dun. All right, GWC. Not a termination condition. So GWC, this is what we call a weak top. When your triggers get through the area that could be a termination condition, It's what we call a weak top. You do have momentum. You are directly into Fibonacci support. You can see how it creates a bounce here. And while your entry is 100% rules-based, GWC, let me know that you saw that you were trading directly into a termination, and that termination condition could have stopped all forward progress the way it did here, and here, and here. So it's take and manage. Great entry, awesome momentum, brick wall in the way, and it works out. When you have that level of momentum on 3 charts, it's going to be hard to stop. I don't even feel GWC. I know without hesitation or confusion or even a hint of indecision, because a strong top or bottom must first be a termination condition, which means GWC, it's important that you guys learn this language. Price reaches an area and absolutely 0 triggers get through that area. That's a termination condition. If 2 triggers get through, it has the potential to break. If 3 triggers get through, it has the potential to break. Not at all a termination condition. So because your trigger lines made it way above that area, hell, without divergence, that's a long trade. Does that make sense? That's a termination. When that reverses, that's a strong top. That's a fib that had a lot of potential to break but didn't. So it's the 0 triggers through that sets us up for a strong top, and it's price reaching an area first that makes it a termination. And I think what some people do, GWC, is you see that divergence high and you go, whoa, that's a termination. And that's very common. But the truth of that one, see if we can get a little contrast here. The truth of that one is that that pink line doesn't print until about 2.5 bars into it. So price never reaches it. Nope. Not at all. A termination condition is price reaches an area, no triggers break. Price reaches an area, no triggers break. Those are your textbook termination conditions. And then termination conditions have the potential to either break, which we see sometimes, like it did right here, above support. They tried to break up here. But right now we're just working with that potential. The same right here. It's the potential to break. But a termination condition requires that none of the triggers get through the area. Does that make sense? This divergence happens after the fact. It's a late indicator. It takes 2.5 bars to print. But what you did here, and I don't want you to feel like I'm chop busting, if the perfect trade, and we're using the high probability trend trade as the yardstick, if the perfect trade has momentum, which you absolutely did, has a clear path, which you absolutely did not, and requires the perfectly defined entry, which you had beautifully, you're still working with 66% of the goodness. And all that means is take and manage for most of you. And it never gave you a reason to manage. I believe this is beautiful execution. Nicely done. But when I see termination condition, because it's an education room, I do feel compelled to correct the language. 15 down, transition, clear path, pulls back to the 1-to-1s, closes below. Did you take your large chart stuff off? And it just doesn't work. With nothing below it, I could get on board with that one. 1-to-1s are still acting as resistance. Mid-band still acting as resistance. Just didn't work. But I thought there were a lot of areas down here earlier. Maybe they've been taken off. Downside, weak side of the triggers, room to trouble. There's the pullback to the area, which is the mid band there. White bar, close below. Miss Claire, you decide to take that one to see if it wants to continue, and absolutely it did. Nicely done. Triggers down, strong side, room to trouble. Price pulls back to an area. I don't even know what this is, Victor. Is it really a trend trade from 70? With risk all the way up at 16? So, Victor, this trade, and guys, this is important. For a trend trade, have you guys heard this phrase? Because the small triggers roll up, I wait for a pullback. Have you heard that one, Victor? Guys, is this familiar to anybody? If the triggers never roll up, you don't have a trend trade. What this is a momentum trade. This is strong triggers. This is odds favorable momentum. Your entry is at 04. Not 44 points below. This is just jumping in and hoping stuff works out. And I'm glad that it did. Down, weak side, pull back to the area, close below, out at trouble. Nicely done. Nicely done. All right, you guys that are flooding it, you're going to have to sit tight for a minute. My job's to look at a live market. Morning 10K. Morning, Miss Trina. Triggers are down and absolutely no room to trouble, which means don't care what happens. It's that simple. Triggers are down. There's nowhere to go. I don't care about the small chart. My large chart rules aren't met. System gave a long trade. Signal over here never got the rules met inside of the synthetic triggers. Avoidable loss. Guys, one of the things that the system is doing for us is it's insisting on the perfect entry, momentum and path on the large chart. But, and that was right at the open. Was that 32? Man, the market moves. If rules aren't met over here, divergence, not giving it met here, guys, it doesn't work out. And I believe it was the small triggers pulling down, getting below the large triggers that keeps you out of this one. John Novak has this set on hyper conservative. If you need the templates, let me know. I'm happy to give them to you. Happy to give them to you. And right now, with weakness, divergence from fibs, this system's not going to look for a trade. And I believe we need to start with Sergio, 10K. Whoops. Sergio, down, room. That's okay. There was no divergence when you entered. Pull back to the area, close below. Half profits at the thing that could ruin your good time. And then out at the second. Nicely done. Great trade, Sergio. A willingness to get paid. And then you could have gotten paid at that divergence low, but since it wasn't there yet, you weren't going to give it all back. What a beautiful trade. Nicely done, Sergio. This is a solid bottom only until the 15 bar closes and still long. There are no solid bottoms, Paul. 15 minutes is too long. There are no strong bottoms on a 15-minute chart. There's either room or not room, brother. That's it. If this market goes down, that zone may have well never existed. The same way the divergences that are missing over here, they did. They stopped the market. They created all sorts of bounces. Yeah, that's a Ninja Trader thing. Strong tops and bottoms. Triggers down, room to trouble, close below from resistance. Giddy up, baby. Take it down to the large chart. Because of the strong side, taking it down. Nice trade. You can call this a textbook short. 10K. Understanding that that could have stopped the market. It chose not to. And you took a beautiful exit down lower. Nicely done. Mark from Ottawa. How do we know that second line was there when it's live? How do we know the second line was there when it was live? Hold on. Let me go back. You're talking about Sergio's picture, right? That second line right there? I want to make sure that we're good. Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't there till somewhere up here when the calculations were done. There was no second line, but the first line was there. No. Do you see the first line right there? Sergio said in a really awesome kind of Latin accent, "Oh shit, that could stop the market." So when it started to bounce off of it, Sergio wasn't going to give it all back. So the one great lesson, Mark from Ottawa, lines are bouncy. I can't stress this enough. Lines are bouncy. Guys, if you make it to a line, it's okay to take money. See how Sergio got paid right at the bouncy thing or just above it? And then when it didn't bounce, he let the market go to the next bouncy thing. And when it started to bounce, Sergio said, "Whoa, my job's to get paid." Does that make sense, Mark? That's, if there were like any lesson that I would want to stress to you guys at the top of my lungs, is that areas can be bouncy. They all have the potential to stop forward progress. Every one of them. They are killing it right now over here. Let's go see. And then, Paul, why we don't say that's a solid bottom. Because it wasn't. And now we're at outer bands, divergence lows. We're at support. You would have had to break a lot of rules to get into that short trade. And I guarantee there's at least half this room that's like, man, if I just would have traded into these one-to-ones and that zone against momentum with no room to trouble, I'd be rich right now. And then you'd give it all back when you tried it the next time, right? The next time it's set up exactly like that, you just would have given it all back. Looks familiar, right? It's the same look. So one of the things I encourage you guys to do is ask yourself, is my trade a pattern that I can prove wins more than it loses? And guys, if it is, if you go back and you say, if I trade into everything under the sun that could stop that market and I win 65% of them, then have fun, change your plan, right? But the plan that I gave you says don't trade into big chart areas. It says don't trade into small chart areas. Now, you more advanced users may have chosen to take that white bar pattern, but that's a little next level. Miss Claire from a term, there's your HVA trade. You catch it on the way up. Nicely done. Area, can't go short. Can't go short. She recognizes a pattern in HVA, and Claire goes long. Beautiful trade, Claire. Would please on no strong bottoms or tops on TV 15-minute chart? No. Limpid. No. There are no strong tops and bottoms on TV, guys. There's termination conditions right there. So this is a great example, Limpet. Check it out. Boom, 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 boom. That big, ugly green line says absolutely no more shorts. The same way that big, ugly red line said absolutely no more longs. The same way this mid-band said absolutely no more shorts until you get to the other side of it, until you get below it, until you get to the other side of it. See how they tried to get to the other side but didn't? Like they pushed and failed, pushed and failed. Claire recognized that when that area of support can't seem to break, when the small chart begins to roll up, and that's a big part of it, that green line right there creates an opportunity. Claire didn't take that one. That's okay. Claire said, I'm going to wait for everything to point up. And she took the second shot, and it worked beautifully. Are we looking for triggers and price bars to hit zones? No. Price. That's it. Price reaches a line. That line is support. It can stop the market. Has nothing to do with triggers. These charts are too slow, guys, and I'm getting it because some of you are thinking about NinjaTrader, where triggers have a lot to do with it. I want you to see, hold on. Let's do this real quick. It's 9:50. Just for a little perspective. It's a lot of movement, right? Wouldn't you agree that's pretty different? This is 15 minutes on TradingView. Just one bar. That's it. One bar when all of this happened on Renko. So guys, we can't trade TradingView like we would trade Renko. The rules don't translate. We can't trade TradingView like we would Renko. The rules don't translate. So it's real important that you guys stay in your lane, that you guys are really focused on the platform that you're on, and make sure that you understand the rules for that platform. Yeah, me too, Claire. When John Novak said, hey, guess what? We're going to start doing TradingView. Claire, I lost for a month straight because I couldn't separate my head from the two methodologies. But the good news for you guys is there's a lot of things that I realized from all those losses. And that's where you guys got ideas like, hold on. All areas are bouncy, no matter where the triggers are. You guys got ideas like when entering a trade, don't fight the small triggers. All of these come from the ginormous ass kicking that I took helping John Novak write this plan. So when I fail miserably 100 times, and I know that what I'm doing loses more than it wins, guess what? It becomes one of those rules of avoidance. What did you do to this poor chart? Odds favorable, room to trouble, strong side, close below the small triggers. All right, so Dono, just help me here. Do you see the one-to-ones? Directly into an area, right? The same area that stopped the market twice here. Do you see it? I just want to make sure. So you chose to break rule number 2, and it worked out beautifully for you. That's awesome. As long as you knew you were making the choice. And the reason I say that is because you got away with it this time, right? I got away with trading right at an area of support. I want you to believe that was a very real possibility from those one-to-ones, the exact same way they did it right there. Now, one of the things that you did nice, Don, is you let the small triggers get in the direction so you weren't fighting any immediate momentum, right? You had direction on the large chart. You had everything you needed on the large chart. You had 90% of what you needed on the small chart. Take and manage. That's where all of you are headed. Now, if you're not consistent yet, do you really want to trade into areas? That's up to you. You have to answer that question. I can't. Morgan, you couldn't get your mid-band on the small chart. Dude, I'll tell you what. Not on NASDAQ. I had it on crude oil. Crude oil, I couldn't seem to get my mid-band to come up. You can get with Jason. One thing that I did, here, Morgan, go to indicators and go to T3. Oh, it's not even on this one. Hold on. Let me pull up a chart real quick. Oh, Boaz, that's probably smart. Change it to 9 instead of 10 days. I forgot that trick. Try that, Morgan, before I go opening new workspaces. Whew, they are killing this market down, aren't they? And now we're below the area, guys. Triggers are down. Room to the next area. So what do we need? We need small triggers to turn up. And watch this. I like it when we do this. I need a pullback somewhere in this range. Maybe oil saw the NASDAQ. And the NASDAQ kept going down and oil said, I better go up. I doubt it too. I doubt it too. All right, guys, we've called our shot. The rules say the small triggers need to roll up. Price needs to pull back to an area. We need to close below the small triggers. But what do you notice about the area if we get that pullback? Do you guys see it? Do you see where the area for entry is right now? The first spot? What's the challenge with that? Do you see the big zone too, Paul? There's no room. So what do we hope? Shit, we hope they come up here. We hope they've got some fight in them. Give us some room back to that trouble. Does that make sense? Ah, Wayne. Up. Close above the triggers from support. Out at trouble. Perfect. Not cognizant of the news time and broke the rules and had your account canceled. Ah, do not trade during prohibited times. Set calendar alerts. Make a checklist. Whatever works for you to not do what I did. And Wayne, I'm not going to lie. It broke my heart. I saw you. I had to. Broke my heart. When one of my cool kids from the room breaks a rule, ugh. It was a beautiful trade, though. I see exactly why you took it. Just bad timing, brother. All right. Triggers down. I'm waiting for my doorbell from the system. Haven't gotten one yet. Looks like they're trying, right, Sergio? Let's give that a little more look. From the bottom of that range, 98. We might be all right from here. We'll see. Nope, that's the math I just did. If we get a pullback and a close below So guys, this is how you're going to do your math. From wherever my entry is, that's trouble, Victor. That's pretty tight, isn't it? It is 8 points, 9 points, but that would mean that your close below triggers would have to be flush with that one. How many seconds were you in, Wayne? Does it matter? One of those is your account's 43 seconds deep. So it wasn't even close. That was your trade up 40 bucks, 43 seconds into news. Unfortunately, guys, what I do every morning, and it stinks, but it's just a part of what we have to do to protect ourselves. So if you guys wonder, well, how did they get me? I literally, I think this is it. I video from 2 minutes before until after, and I have to go through and I have to disable every count that was open. Don't worry, Wayne, you weren't alone. 3 to 5 people, woo, they made it back. 3 to 5 people every day lose their account. 3 to 5 people every day lose semi-live accounts trading news. So you're not alone. All right, guys, there's your pullback. Sergio, you asked for it. But now that we're up there, our new trouble line is right there. Does that make sense? Triggers are down. That is the first sign of trouble. So guys, if I am 100% following my plan, rule number 2 is not met. Not if I enter right here. Does that make sense to everybody? One of the things that we can do in this live market is we can say the trend is defined with the triggers. I gauge room to trouble on the large chart from where it is now. I've got 15 points. That's only part of it. The other part is from a close below the triggers, and look, this is where a close below the triggers would happen. You guys see that big old honking room of trouble? Let me make it easy to see. That's where a close below the triggers would happen right now, into just all sorts of trouble. So you would have to make a decision. You would have to say to yourself, I either choose to take that trade despite all of the trouble. You're welcome, Wayne. It really does, man. It's when I saw your name, I was like, oh, Wayne. And yeah, Victor did it yesterday. And I've done it. I've done it. I did it with a prop firm. I want to say it was Apex that says you can't trade during news. Man, I got blown out. Wasn't paying attention, and they took my account, and it was all over. Large chart gave an entry at 10:01. I need to talk to John about his conservative settings. I want to see exactly what he's got this thing set up at. Send him a quick message. And Wayne, thanks for not ranting and raving and telling us that we suck and we're thieves. Most people go that route. Uh-oh. So a close below the small triggers here. The 1-to-1s didn't get a full bar above. That's still resistance. Close below would give us 20, 14 points to get there. How do we feel about it? We've got 24 seconds to think about it, guys. Didn't get a full bar above 1-to-1s. 1-to-1s is still behaving as resistance. So is the mid-band. So is resistance. 13 seconds. A nice tight close here gives us room to get to the first line of trouble. 5, 4, 3, 2, come on, 1. Boom. There it is. Stop loss belongs above the pivot. The first sign of trouble, we'll let that be our target. What I typically do when I'm trading multiple contracts is I'll take half off at 100, 150, get money in the bank. Which means I might sell one there for 200. Oh, we have a 4 lot. Get some money in the bank, right? Maybe sell another one as it gets close. And say to myself, I'm almost to that thing. There it is, guys. Anybody feel bad about 735 conservative dollars? Was it worth the wait? We've been in the room for an hour. Was it worth the wait? Right click, Morgan. Data series. Days to load. All right, so here we go. Let's do the whole annotation. Triggers down, room to trouble, and it's in transition. Get paid. I'm going to go through the whole language. Mark from Ottawa, are you paying attention to this one? Price closes below the small triggers. From resistance, so important. There is room to trouble. Lines are bouncy. Easy money, no reason to hope. And it might go down more, right? But we knew about the line. We knew where trouble was. We knew that it could stop the market. I chose to get paid. And guys, that was $700. That's my first trade of the day. 90% of your day is doing nothing. 90% of your day is relaxing, waiting, demanding the market give you what you want. The trend down became weak. Counter trend, maybe range, I don't know. I'm not sure. I see everything down and screaming, Boaz. I even see small triggers below the large triggers. It looks like it might have hit the area. You are days below the outer band. I don't have any rules for this one. Pretty aggressive counter trend. Not even from a large chart termination. Does that make sense? Man, if I had a zone right here, I might be able to get on board with that a little bit. But everything about this market is screaming down. And from where you took it, you're below the outer band on both charts. Triggers are down strong. You're on the strong side of down triggers. I don't have any rules. Never even contemplated a rule that looks like that. So I'm glad that it worked. And I'm glad that you helped Morgan. Thank you for the 9-day trick. Does that make sense, Boaz? I'm not telling you it's the wrong trade. It may be absolutely perfect for you. But you're fighting the strong side of the triggers from below the outer band. It's aggressive, my friend. It's assertive. And I'm glad that it worked for you. Miss Jen, that looks familiar. Sell both at the thing that could create a bounce. Nice one, you. I'm just following rules. To darken them, I don't think I can get them any darker. You have to go to Market Dynamics, Inputs. So these are your supply and demand zones. Where'd they go? Let me find them real quick. 10K. There we go. So you could pick a darker color maybe, but when you lose the opacity, it just goes really dark. So maybe you need to find a happy medium. That's the only opacity adjustment. I don't know how to make them any darker, honestly. You could try changing colors and see if you can find a color that's more responsive to, but they leave them thin. Absolutely it can, Tracy. I think that they whoops, there we go. I think they leave them a little transparent so you can see the market working inside of them so that you know that you're still inside of a zone. What you could do, 10K. Hold on, buddy. Go to your T3 trigger lines and go to Style. And if I change my background color, hold on. Did that do it? Nope, wrong setting. Hold on. I can change my background color to something pretty light, and maybe that'll help you see them a little better. Do like a super pale gray, right? Super light. So just play with settings, man, and see what your contrast is. Not everybody likes the black. So Tracy, if your internet speed is like crazy slow, like feeding gerbils and not really, you know, you get lags, and if the videos you're trying to watch try to buffer, it takes live data. It takes live data to make this happen, and there is a draw for sure. If you're unsure what your speed is, let's see what mine is. I don't think mine's any more than yours, and I don't have any problems at all. Are you experiencing troubles? Yeah, mine's less than yours. I don't have any problems at all with my internet. At my house in Texas, it's like 1,000. I can't tell the difference. If it is creating challenges, look at what your background processes are. Maybe you've got a lot running in the back that's sucking up energy from you, possibly. But yeah, you've got me beat, and I have absolutely no struggle at all with what I do. All right, can we get oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't trade into areas of support? Pretty cool, isn't it? That you guys know about it, you can see it, you don't have to trade into it. And like Jen said, just get paid at it. Just get paid at it. There will be more. Great job, everybody. Victor. Boom. Just get paid. $4.15. Jen beat you by $5. Just, I mean, not that it's a competition, but Jen beat you by $5. Good job, guys. Triggers are still down. Still room to trouble. Technically, that's still a short from resistance. I don't know. After they've already tested it, the triggers didn't blink. I don't know how I feel. about trading back into that area that seemed to have stopped the market cold. My large triggers never blinked, just kept going up, right? Guys, does it fit the rules? Yes. Are you going to get to a point to where you're like, whoa, wait a minute, they've already been there. They tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. 7 times. Maybe I'll let something roll in favor. Maybe. It's up to you. What's this bad boy doing? We got a signal. No entry. I did send John Novak a message. We're going to look at the entry criteria. I may have done something wrong because it doesn't seem to be giving me much. Right now we're into a termination condition. Termination condition has the potential to stop the market. There it is, stopping the market in the moment. All right, I'm going to leave you guys with the trading view up. We'll see what happens here. I'll be back in about 5 minutes, guys. I'm going to go stretch my legs. So if you have charts, post them. If you have questions, ask them. I'll see you in just a few minutes. Just kidding. Ja, ja, indeed, Pablo. Venezuela, pero estoy aquí en el USA. 1980? You're one of us, Victor. You're one of us. All right, guys. I want to do a quick little lesson. I forgot. I got this question from somebody the other day. And how do I know if I have enough room? How do I know if there's room to target? How do I know if there's room to make money? So we're going to use this NASDAQ picture because it's really clear. So the NASDAQ trades, it's $20 a point on the NASDAQ. So if my entry is at 21 and my fib, my trouble spot is at 16. So we'll use this for example. With an entry at 21, and you don't have to worry about the first parts of the number, and an exit at 17, we'll just say, I'm going to do some rounding, is 4 points. And that's $80. Does that make sense, guys? So from wherever I'm going to enter to where I'm going to exit, that's the math that I want to do. And then you look at the next one, 21 entry, and an 08 exit, right? So from 21 to 08, that's going to be 13 points, which is going to be $260. So when you're looking at it, it's a $340 trade. But as you're going through and you're trying to figure out if you have room to targets, look at the price of where you have to get paid the first contract. And look at where that close below is going to be and do that 20 points a point math, and that'll help you make sure it'll help you make sure that there's always room to targets. Does that make sense, everybody? That killed me in the beginning, was trying to figure that out quick. Just have to remember that it's 20 points or 20 bucks a point. So I'll do it on mine. If I'm looking for an entry, I'll use the cursor like this so I can see that it would be at you know, if I'm going to take an entry from 92, I know that I have, oh my gosh, 41 points before I hit something solid, right? And I can do it over here. There's my trouble at 660. If my entry is at 90, I've got tons of room. And that math comes faster and faster the more you practice. That's cranking, huh? Who was that, Tracy? 266 last night. So you're a little slow this morning. Do you have storms coming maybe? You got storms in the area? Are you on a hot spot? Is it Wi-Fi in a really busy neighborhood? One of the things you can do, Tracy, and what I had to do here in Nowheresville, Georgia, is these were my numbers if I was Wi-Fi. I had to hardwire in. I had to go buy a cord and run it straight to the modem to bypass that. And I'll show you why. Here, everybody's having dinner, right? 288, people aren't cranking. Here, everybody's doing schoolwork, doing work. So many people work from home. And you'll see a huge decrease. I had to do it at my house in Texas too. Wired, I was 1,000. Unwired, I was like 100. So I would consider hardwiring into your modem. Do you have a laptop? Are you doing it on a laptop or a desktop? Laptop. So if I open my laptop in my office, it looks like this. If I open it a foot away from the modem, it looks like this. It's probably just signal strength getting to where you're at. I would try a hardwire. You can go to Home Depot and buy a 50-foot cable for 30 bucks. Try wiring it in. See if that helps. That's what I had to do. So now I travel with a hardwire. You're welcome. everything's down, market pulls back. You take the close directly into the one-to-ones, right? You make a choice, and it works out. 26 is directly into trouble. 26 is directly into trouble. And again, guys, I'm not telling you how to trade, but my job in the room is to remind you that the easiest way for new users is not trade directly into trouble on 2 charts. You're going to get away with it every now and then. You're going to get away with it every now and then. Nice trade, Boaz. When a bar closes below the small triggers for a short trade, do you have to see the small triggers cross over also? No, Limpid. You're making up rules. You're making up rules. Close below the small triggers. That's it. Because look at this. This is where, and this wasn't a long trade, Limpid, but that's where it closed above the triggers, right? That's where we stopped fighting the momentum. That's where they officially rolled. I don't want to wait 4 bars. But if the rules are met, that close below is usually enough. Does that make sense? Oh, yep, you said thanks. You're welcome. That's pretty. That's pretty. And I'm not, oh, no divergence up top. This is why that one didn't go. I'm going to do a lot of study this afternoon, guys. I'm going to figure out why we are dragging our feet a little bit on that. I know it's in the name of being conservative, but I'm a little aggressive. Not really. I'm super conservative. That pulled back to the area. This might close below. Does everybody see that outer band? The rules say don't trade directly into one. That's the large chart trouble. I'm conservative, Claire. I am very conservative. Right on, Boaz. Do you know why I'm so conservative in this room, guys? You want to know the truth? Claire, it's not maybe that this is, I mean, I trade a plan very, very similar. Like 99% similar. If I'm a new user, I don't know why. I feel like typing helps me. If I'm a brand new user and I take aggressive trades, I'm more likely to lose more than I win, right? So I get frustrated. Software must not work. Mark is an asshole. All the things that come with people that lose more than they win when they are test driving software, Claire, because we're a software company. We have been forever. So when I talk about these hyper conservative ways to use it, it still provides more than enough to hit goals for 90% of the people that do it, depending on what your goals are. But it also creates an enormous amount of confidence. When you're winning 70% of your trades with only 3 rules on 2 charts, you feel like an absolute rock star and you feel great about it. And you're dedicated to following those things that are bringing you success. That's literally where confidence comes from. And if I don't give you that, if I try to tell you, oh, look, there's a red line, you should go long 75 contracts right here, because if it holds, I look brilliant in the classroom. And if it breaks, I make up some bullshit excuse of why you shouldn't have done it anyway, right? But if I just hold fast, there is a way to make money. It doesn't have to be difficult. I get to keep you guys around, and you guys start to tell your friends. And man, when you're excited, when you know the plan works, why wouldn't you tell your friends? I've got buddies of mine that are trading every day. I'm excited for my wife to take May off so that she can trade every day. So That's why. That's a little insight because we're a software company. And if we don't sell software, we're not a software company. And if you don't think you can do what we teach, you don't buy software, right? I'm not in sales, I'm in education. My job is to show you that absolutely you can find profits with this software. And I try to give you the fewest moving parts to do it. A little bit of why I teach the way I do. Every trade you guys take, I know. Every look you guys capitalize on, I understand. I just don't need it. Thank you for that, Claire. You feel it's really good doing only a trend trade with 2 contracts, then I could go 4 contracts and make double. Why not, Sergio? And if you guys want to know the God's honest truth, there are so many people in this room. I'm staring at your smiling faces that struggle. We all do at some point. And then you have an aha moment where you're like, okay, you know what? I'm so sick of losing. I'm going to try that stupid, boring way that Mark says, just to see if it works. Back me up here, guys. Does it work to do less? Use a trade copier, right, Claire? It does. Stopping a cat fight missed a trade. There's plenty more coming. Let them fight it out, Victor. Survival of the fittest. So I don't tell you guys what to do. I'll never tell you guys what to do, but I will show you how to do it the easiest way. I will give you everything in my power to help you have the fewest moving parts with the highest success. And it means that sometimes you're not in a trade because your rules weren't met. But one of the things that I always wrote, and I took it off of here. Thanks, King Irvin. Appreciate that. The copy trader is clutch, isn't it? It is. Guys, the one thing that I always say about this plan is that this plan is a stepping stone designed to optimize your chances of success. You will create your own plan based on your ability to read indicators. That's it. Based on your ability to read indicators. So what do? I teach you how to read indicators so that you guys can grow up and leave the nest. It's so important that you guys remember that. My plan's boring. It's consistent. It's profitable, but it's boring. Most of you guys hate that. You're not leaving, Claire? That's okay. I like it when you guys stick around. I love it. My wife knows who all of you are, right? And there's a lot of you, I know who your kids are. And I love that. And I know what you do for a living. And I know what part of the country you're in. You know, we have amazing conversations outside of this room, guys. It's an awesome community here. And we all have the same goals. And it's cool when we start helping each other. I do too, Claire. I do too. You know, I had a mentor in my last job. And we were sitting down once. And it was rare that you got one-on-one time with this guy. And I got a lot of it for whatever reason. I guess he liked me. But the best thing that I've ever told in my life was that you can't have a bad day teaching. And it's held true for 30 years. You can't have a bad day teaching. Making people better, it's impossible to not feel good about the day. So I get to walk away every day feeling good, which is pretty amazing. Paul triggers down, clear path, pulls back to the area. It's still resistance. Your stop was good, and it made it. Nicely done, Paul. I love that. Love the slow, boring, slow morning trading. The consistency makes your heart smile. I like that, King. That makes me happy. How many of you guys are in here from the funding company, wondering if maybe you should consider something a little more concrete? I'm the trade police in the funding company, guys. It's literally my job to watch people trade, and there's so many ways to do things, and I don't know. I feel like what we do is so damn good. You guys ready to see if they give us a trade? The triggers are down. I got tons of room to trouble. I'd love to see him pull up somewhere around that mid band, wouldn't you? Wouldn't that just be beautiful? How much room would you have? And that mid band's going to come down, so it'll probably be right about the bottom. How awesome would that be? Let's see what happens. Are you guys good with where we're at? The triggers are down, so the trend is down. Right now, we're kind of in transition, which means that I'm not the best, strongest look, but it's still pretty nice. My small triggers rolled up, so I have to have a close below the small triggers from an area. And I want you to see what the small chart says right now. Guys, right here, plain as day, are yellow 1-to-1s. If you trade directly into those 1-to-1s, you're more likely to have that market bounce up against you than it is to just arbitrarily go down. Doesn't mean that they can't just go down, but there it is right there in the moment, instantly. You see the reaction. How hard is it to convince yourself that it's okay to not be in a trade? That's one of the hardest things for me. To convince myself that there's more coming. To go break up the cat fight because you know that the market is going to keep moving. Now, your Renko bar suggests that we're probably not going to get that pullback. But it's got to be one or the other, right? Technically, this would be a close below small triggers from resistance with absolutely nothing in the way. Do you guys see it? It's down. It pulled back. If it closes below, well, it's just a one lot. Stop would have to go all the way up here. Large chart target is down here. Now, guys, you are outside of the outer band. You are in no man's land. $945 is a lot of risk in no man's land, but that's the trade, right? We're already up 300. Isn't that the rules? Pull back to an area, close below with nothing in the way. Doesn't mean it's a winner, but it sure does fit the rules. Now, on a one lot, I would be hard-pressed to not take profits when I was up over $300. Let's just see what happens. You guys want to let it play out and just see if they hit the large chart target? When I'm outside of this outer band, I'm in extremes, right? Triggers rolled up, closed below. Triggers are trying to roll up. Large triggers are down. Outer band doesn't look like it's going to do anything to stop it. They're probably coming back to resistance. They don't have to, but if you're in this trade, you got to believe that's an option. Stop is where the market shouldn't go. Stop is where the buyers tried and failed with a little bit of breathing room. Now, I don't know about you guys. I'm not used to putting $1,000 a contract, but this is an educational room. So we're going to let it play out. We're going to see what it does. And remember, we've got yellow 1-to-1s here that are behaving as resistance. Let's see if they do their job. They used to be support, then they became resistance, and now they're still behaving as resistance. If we get a down bar here, we will have had another fight and another failure. That wasn't a down bar. So there's still no stop movement. Are you guys following me? Is it making you queasy that there's so much risk on a one lot in a trade that appears to be failing? I don't care. I'm on simulator, guys. I'm learning lessons. And when I'm done with this lesson, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this. What happened during my trade? I went from being on the good side of the triggers that are down. Now my triggers are above my large triggers, right? Now my triggers are pointing up. Stop still in the right spot. Still have the advantages of the large chart. Still have one-to-ones behaving as resistance. Now what happens when you start to grow with software is you start to factor these things, right? There's another fight and failure. So at this point, little less risk. Save 200 bucks. Doesn't guarantee a winner, but now it's $200 less if they decide to come get us. Small triggers don't seem to be having any desire to go back down. The buyers tried to push up. The sellers told them no. Let's see what happens. Look at that bar. It pushed up right to the highest concentration of sellers in that bar. That's what the HVA line is. And that's where they appeared to lose a little bit. Oh, day trading is exciting, isn't it? Day trading is exciting. So what's happening? Now the small triggers are rolling back down. The one-to-ones never broke. The large triggers are still down. Do you guys see how all that's happening? Still doesn't guarantee a winner. But it almost looks like we survived the tough stuff. We'll see. We're back below the outer band. One-to-ones are still resistance. The buyers have tried again. They failed. Large chart hasn't changed in the whole time we've been in this trade. Some of you will recognize this white breakout bar with an open below the HVA. That's a pretty good sign. We're just going to let it play out, guys. How about we have more realistic expectations on a one lot? You guys want to see if we can pull 300 on it instead of hoping for a $700 home run? Our job is to get paid, right? And I want you guys to see that. It made it to 300 once already. Triggers are still down. Now I've got a high volume area. I've got every indicator down. I've got resistance. I've got resistance. Guys, there's a fight right here. There's the HVA. That's the highest concentration of sellers. Sometimes that's good for a little push down. We'll see what happens. Who's going nuts? I've been in this trade too long. I love it. I don't care if it loses, guys. There's some good lessons here. Ah, the RZ350. And look at that. Man. And if they take out our stop, good on them. They did the work, right? So we're going to go back and we're going to talk about all of these things. Nope, can't take a momentum trade without momentum, Papa. And there we go. So what happened during the trade? This is the part that I think takes you next level. So I'm going to take the picture. Where was the entry bar? This was the entry bar, right here. At the time of the entry bar, small triggers rolled down, right? But what did they do? They went from below the triggers to above the triggers. Do you guys see that? That's a loss of momentum. This is recognizable. When the small triggers are no longer below the large triggers, you're losing momentum. So, Papa, that's why there's no momentum trade. And they tried to push. And they failed. And their failure closed on the weak side of those small triggers. That's another context clue. They tried to push and couldn't go. But look what happened. The smalls are still above the large. The large are starting to go horizontal. And the market couldn't push below it. Does everybody see that? And then the next bar closes way above and everything is pointing up. Is there any reason to hold that trade, guys? You're back inside of the outer band. You've got strong triggers up. They have tried and failed. These are the things that you'll begin to see in the moment. Guys, I took a big old loser on this one intentionally because this is a good lesson. When you're in a trade, it's one thing to say, there's my target, right? But being active, and what's changed, right? Because initially, everything's going great. We're below everything. Life is good. And then it works its way back to trouble. And then the triggers begin to turn against, right? And they can't seem to break through. And guys, you're going to start to see these things. And while your initial stop is there, and then it gets moved behind here, when you're down here and things seem to be struggling, you might say, all right, if they get above that 1-to-1 that's been behaving as resistance, I may want to exit that trade. If they start breaking back above these small triggers, I may want to exit that trade. You may even say, because my small triggers or my large triggers are rolling up, I might just exit. I'll wait for another entry. Does that make sense, everybody? And I'm telling you, if you're brand new, that's a lot. I know it's a lot, but this is one of the reasons why it's so important to go back and don't just accept it, right? Don't just type on a chart minus 500. Guys, go through this. Go through looking at what happened. Talk about what you saw. And more importantly, right? More importantly, write down what you saw. Drop it in the room. Let's talk about it. This was an outstanding trade. I would take that all day long. Wouldn't hesitate. That right there would have had my stop instantly above that white bar. Instantly, it would have been above that white bar. And if they wanted to come get me, I would take that one. Guys, management is where money is made. And remember, if they take out the pivot high, who knows where they're going? Didn't give you your close. One of the reasons stop placement is so important. The trend was down. There's your fight. There's your continuation. If they take out their failure point, they're likely to cruise way the hell up there. That's why great stops save money, guys. And I'm not gonna lie, $900 on a short trade is one lot per contract. I don't know. That's a poor investment in my plan. That's a poor investment. Oh, we saw that one, Paul. Dono. Just jumping in, right? Nope, there it is. Pull back, close below, out and outer band, out at trouble. Beautiful. Can't find a thing wrong with it, Don. I was like, man, that's late, but it's not. You took the close below, which puts you in perfectly right there. I love that. Get paid at bouncy things. Nice one, Dono. Nicely done. And guys, for those of you that don't know, is that you, Wayne? RZ350? That's old school. That's awesome. So when I was a Kawasaki mechanic, Willow Springs, nice. When I was a Kawasaki mechanic, one of the mechanics that I worked with had one of these, went blasting up Highway 59 in Houston on it. It was amazing. And I'm not a two-stroke rider, and man, it was terrifying in a good way. Estefania, odds favorable, momentum, nothing in the way. Let's jump in. Let's jump out. Now here's the question, Estefania. Why did you give so much back on a trade that only relied on momentum? I know we've done this lesson before. But let's do a quick one here. You were too slow. That was your exit condition, the close on the wrong side of the triggers. Does that make sense? Because that's where momentum is lost. And the only thing that got you in was momentum. So Estefania, one thing you can do is you can follow that reversal bar marker with your stop. Another thing you can look at, and guys, this is in the moment, if I get a pullback, I don't have any rules met for a trade because I no longer have areas inside of triggers. Another reason I would be excited about getting out of that trade. Just didn't get you? Right on. Having a plan, knowing why you'll get in is huge. Knowing why you'll exit a trade is huger. Terry Cato triggers down, room to trouble, pulls back to the area. There's your close below. And it just doesn't work, does it? Just doesn't work, Terry Kano. Here's one of the things. And I don't think that you saw it. Where you entered the market, are you with me, Terry? So where you entered the market, bum, 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 bum. Those one-to-ones are 100% support. 100% support because you got a full bar above them. Right there. And you never get a full bar below, and they do everything that we would expect support to do. Does that make sense? Yep, that was it. Full bar above them, they're support. And then right here, they're back to resistance. You never get rules met. Right here, they're back to support. And you can see the reaction coming right off of it. Good stuff, man. Great post. Victor, your dad sold your motorcycle. I love it. And look at this. Those same one-to-ones that used to be resistance are working as support. Pretty neat, right? So I've got resistance above. I've got support below. There's a fight. Look at how long it's been going sideways. Somebody's going to win, guys. Somebody's going to win this fight. I don't know who it's going to be. I'm going to let it be clear. You can see the same fight over here. Buyers and sellers duking it out. And it's not a surprise that they're right at a fib. It'll all come back in line. It always does. The Ducati Strata. I remember those. The 851. Miss Jen, you took the short, right? A little bit late and just didn't work out. Risk's too great. I agree. I agree. I think this was your shot and you jumped in when it was already failing. Does that make sense? Did you catch all the management lessons? How you went from smalls below to smalls above? How it couldn't seem to get below those triggers? Awesome. Good lessons there. Good lessons there. And can everybody see how support is not giving up the fight yet? What does that mean? That means that we're just going to be patient, right? It's like, my large chart says down, but my small chart says, hey, you yahoo. We got a brick wall right here. And just in case you didn't believe it, hey, you yahoo. We got a brick wall right here. Guys, you are literally Geraldo Rivera going after Al Capone's vault. You're stuck in between two walls. Does it make sense to let it break out? Should have taken profit at 300. 300 is a hell of a number, isn't it, Victor? 300 is a hell of a number. I would say none of you would step over $100. I heard my doorbell. If it were on the sidewalk, nobody would step over $100 on the sidewalk, let alone $300. Do you know that most people don't even walk into work for $300 a day in this world? I'm sure you guys may be the exception. $300, 252 trading days. I remember when I was a waiter back in the early 90s. And man, if you made $125 a day, you were so excited for your little $25,000 a year job. Oh my gosh, I made $100. I'm going to be able to drink like a fish. It's not like that. But 3 to 5, guys. 3 to 5 a contract too. Victor, imagine that trade on a 4 lot. And you just say, you know what? I'll take it all at $250. I'll make $1,000 GTFO and wait for the next one. There's a mind shift that happens, guys, when you start to believe that you can almost make money at will if you're just patient. Taking $100 doesn't make you mad. Going break even and getting stopped out doesn't make you mad because you know the next one's coming. I've taken two trades that fit the rules today. One of them I mismanaged intentionally. The other one we took as it should be. The difference, and what's the day? Here we go, watch this. The difference in the day is management, 100%. It's not the quality of entries, it's what you do with it. I'm having fun. I like the live market. You guys like this? Is this good? Is this good for everybody? Do you feel like you're getting more out of the classroom? I need feedback, guys. I need to know that this is good for you guys. Yeah? Good. Triggers are down. Pulls back to resistance. Still resistance. Could we take a close below? Bum, bum, bum. 2, 1. That's a close below from resistance. Stop loss goes where the market shouldn't. Do profit targets at the HVA. Do you guys want to split it? You want to go one big target, one small target? Where's that $200 mark? Oh no, we missed it. So if we're in at 26.25, we would need to go to 16.25 for $200. But because this is resistance, that close isn't into an area. That closes from resistance. Does that make sense? This is resistance. That's where trades come from. Watch this. Come on, come get us. So what's happening in the trade? Small triggers are rolling down. Large triggers are rolling down. Congratulations, there's your first target. Now we're break even. Let's do this. Outer bands are a fantastic exit for a trend trade. And now it's up to the market, right? The one-to-one stop printing. I've got absolutely nothing to lose. I've already made $200. And now we just let it run if it wants to run. My triggers are down. My large are down. It's odds favorable momentum. And even though the one-to-one stopped printing, guys, we watched how often they hold. That's your line in the sand. But I'm already $200 in the bank. I've got nothing to lose. Come get me. I don't care. Dare you. Triple dog dare you. If it happens, we'll just go to Nathan's charts. If it doesn't happen, we'll make $1,000. It's not too hard to be calm, right? When your worst case scenario is the $200 that you made. Oh, and if it happens so fast, it doesn't stop you out. Oh, no wonder I don't have a stop loss there. Yeah, I do. There we go. Took it a second. How'd we do? Did it fit the rules? I feel like it did. Were we patient on the entry? Did getting paid make sense? I think so, guys. And that was a momentum trade where we got stopped out. Strong triggers, pull back. You could have gotten back in at 66, but we're not taking momentum trades in this room. And look what's happening. Now we got to wait all over again if we haven't gotten that one into our arsenal. Strong top, 3 out of 4, no divergence, perfect trade, Nathan. Odds favorable, clear path. Ooh. Didn't work. Didn't work. It does fit the bill, but it didn't work. That would have been a much better shot. Nope, that wasn't it. That's okay. You followed the rules. I don't know. Prashant, make a chart, brother. Make a chart. Post it in the room. Don't make me chase your markets. Strong top, 4 triggers. Huge risk. I agree. Huge risk. And Nathan, pretty darn close to the gap theory. Wouldn't you agree? Pretty darn close to the gap theory. Maybe a tick or two off. Black and white, I get it. But yeah, I love this. You're starting to think about it. You're starting to think about it, and I love that. All the momentum, perfect entry, beautiful target, second lower divergence, out break even. Outstanding trading, Nathan. Great job. Jen, that looks familiar. Sold 2. So you bought 1, not too worried, made up for previous loss. Great job. It's a good looking trade, Jen. Good looking trades for good looking people, right? Let's just say it. Let's just call it what it is. All of you pretty people taking pretty trades. Gold, 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 gold. Prashant, what do you see? I see a downtrend with nowhere to go. I see a downtrend with nowhere to go. That's what I see. Let me know if you see something different. We can debate it in the room. It'll be fun. Doesn't mean it won't go. I don't call trades. Guys, I know you're going to ask me to look at the markets that you're trading, hoping that I give you some sort of insight. I won't. Not my job. Can't do it. It's illegal. Can't do it. And Victor, you're in, huh? I love it. That momentum trade was awesome. That was the perfect momentum trade. And it has not stopped yet. Estefania. Eek. No momentum. Nowhere to go. You jump. Oh. Never mind. You got in up here, didn't you, Estefania? Got out down here? It was just so fast that it looks like you got in on the wrong side? Yeah. Beautiful. Great job using fibs. It does look funny. I had to take a second. It's perfect. Great job, Estefania. Nice job, Victor. All right. What are we hoping for? Small triggers roll up. Need a pull back to an area and a close below, right? Guys, the rules don't change because you already made money, does it? The triggers are still down. There's still room to trouble. Because the small triggers roll up, come back for us. You guys want to do it again if the rules are met? What do you think? Could we? Should we? Oh, I just made money. I don't want to do it again. Hate to be, I don't know what the word is, right? We'll see. We'll see if they come get us. Oh, I guess they broke the areas, Prashant. So the same is true. Need a pullback. Add an area. Close below. And you're absolutely right, Jen. It's probabilities. You're up 210 points. Don, that's not bad. Are you doing that just with trend trades, Don? Yeah? No. Don, you'll forgive me if I respectfully call bullshit, right? 210 points at 20 bucks a point? Are you telling me you're up $4,200 on nothing but trend trades? Oh, I'm sorry. You're up $420. But if you took the exact same trades with the exact same rules and the exact same entries and exits on the NASDAQ, that's it, right? That's the only difference, is it's 1/10. 419.50 on micros. Two types of people in the world with this software, guys. The people that think it takes more to be successful, and the people that prove to themselves that it can be done with minimal effort. 3 lots. That's amazing. Nathan, I don't create leniency for you guys. You got to create your own. What does the midband do, Nathan? When the market is pulling up to it, midband goes down, right? And when price fluctuates, don't the triggers move up and down? Tick, 2 ticks, 3 ticks, depending on the sharpness of the mood. Does it serve you well to be completely rigid about something that isn't? It's up to you. You have to make your decision. But if my large triggers, Nathan, let me see if I can find the picture. If my large triggers are so close, a tick below, and I know that's my retracement zone, why am I getting in 5 points lower, 7 points lower? I'm 1 tick off. I know price returns to triggers. Why am I giving myself an extra 7 points of risk beyond the 5 ticks beyond, right? Why would I ever put $400 a contract? Isn't your methodology better than that? Can't we agree that there's a perfect look where you don't have to put that level of risk on it? Why would I ever risk $800, Nathan? Are you comfortable blowing out half of your stop loss on one trade if it doesn't work? Well, then there's your answer right there. If the answer is hell no, then this isn't your trade, is it? When it's 1 tick off from being the gap theory into a mid-band. And Nathan, what did the market do for 20 minutes before that? Screamed up like a banshee, right? Strong trending, smashed areas. So, context. Nathan, the KISS plan is entries, right? The KISS plan is learning how to enter the market. The easiest, basic, non-negotiable, no wiggle room kind of way. That's what the KISS plan is. You have to believe this, man, and I know that you're resisting it. Remember when we said one thing, right? What's the one thing that I will change in this plan and commit to for the next week? Maybe the one thing is if I have $800 of risk because the triggers are so wide, I'll use a reversal bar. And that doesn't change momentum, and it doesn't change path, and it doesn't change where the entry comes from, and it doesn't change where the stop goes. It just says, I hate this risk. I'll force a reversal bar. And Nathan, with that, can we agree that you have done absolutely nothing to change the advantages that get you looking for an entry? The only thing you've done is made an intelligent decision about how you'll spend your money. And it's not subjective, right? There is no opinion. You still have to have, so let's do this real quick. I love these lessons. Watch this. Bum, 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 bum. Whoops. Let's have some fun. Oh no, what did I do? Bow, 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 bow. It's all about sound effects, guys. It's all about sound effects. I was grabbing the dog leash last night and I was like, poo, or something like that. My wife's like, what? I'm like, nothing. It's just what it sounds like when you grab a dog leash. All right. You had momentum. You had a clear path. You had an entry area. So if you take an entry, Nathan, you've got everything working for you, yes? 100%. So is it really changing the core that's bringing you success? Is it changing the advantages that produce the perfect trade? If you say, because risk is too high, I choose to wait for confirmation. Now, here's the other part. If you say, oh, hold on, let me go to this picture. And please understand, I'm not saying this about you. Now here, you have momentum, you have a clear path, you have an entry area, and can we agree that it's a very low risk entry? Everything is perfect, but I'm chicken. I'll wait for confirmation. Doesn't even make sense, does it? Like if you talk it out, everything is perfect, but I'm going to wait for confirmation because I'm a little bit chicken. As opposed to, that's way too much risk. I don't like it. I still have, and here's the key, Nathan, you don't ever abandon. You don't ever abandon what makes your life easy. But now, because you've managed your risk with momentum and you've managed it with the path and you've managed it with an entry, it's your right to say split triggers creates more risk than I'm comfortable for. I'll choose confirmation. And when it's perfect, confirmation doesn't make sense. So if I were going to rewrite my plan, split triggers, bum, 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 bum. Oh, hold on. I've got a better picture. I've got a better picture. Dun, 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 dun. Let me find it. Two looks. Favorable large triggers, small risk, split triggers, huge risk. Make sense? Favorable large triggers, two snakes riding piggyback. Least amount of risk, easiest to identify your entry. Split triggers, ginormous risk. Who knows? Big difference, right? That's the one. That's the one that gets children singing songs about you so much that you know I made a picture for it, right? And the KISS plan used to say entry inside of favorable large triggers. That's your best look. That's the one that there is zero hesitation, always, because it's freaking perfect. That's the one where my money is worth forcing confirmation. And it didn't do anything to save the trade, because this Yahoo traded directly into a termination condition. But at least reduced risk. Good lesson, Nathan. I'm not telling you to change your plan. I'm telling you that if you really believe your plan, don't forget what creates the perfect trade. That's managing risk outside of it. No worries. Great job. Oh, they didn't get us and they went to support. Those rat bastages. Sons of guns. Bumpus hounds. System tried to go long there. The fib stopped it. I think my settings are busted on the system, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna get with John Novak this afternoon, and we're gonna get it right. And we'll see. Triggers are still down, right? Small triggers rolled up. So here's the question. Can we do it again? If they give it to us, can we do it again? What do you guys think? If my rules are met, can I take the trade? I think so. Call me crazy. If my rules are met, I want to take the trade. I love taking the trade. Taking the trade makes me happy. It makes me popular in a lot of circles. When I go to the beach, bullies don't kick sand in my face when I take the trade. It hasn't done anything for my singing voice, but that's okay. That's all trading is. Is it my pattern? Guess I take the trade. One of my favorite Mark Douglas ideas, I guess, is that you don't have to know what the market is going to do next to make money in the market. I have never entered a trade knowing whether the trade is going to win or lose. I have never in my life known what the outcome will be. And I accept that, which means that every time I enter a trade, I don't create expectations for the trade. I simply follow my plan, which means that if the trade wins, I'm I'm pleasantly surprised. That's wonderful. I love winners. But if the trade loses, well, I knew that was an option too. So my focus isn't on the loss. My focus is on the idea, did I follow my plan? Did I take the correct entry? Did I trade from the correct area? Did I wait to get on the right side of the triggers? And if I did, if I followed my rules, then I took a trade that I know wins more than it loses. And that goes back to the probabilities that Miss Jen spoke about. I need a sample. If I take this trade 100 times and it wins 70 of them, unless I absolutely suck at management. And in the beginning, guys, we suck at management, right? One of the reasons simulators are so important. Entries are what we practice to make management easier. But guys, you have to have a reason to exit a trade. You have to have a reason to get in, to get out. And it all stems around what's going for you, what's going against you. So I'm going to take a moment or two. I'm going to walk away. When I come back, if you got them, post them. If you have questions, give them to me. Guys, if there's anything I can do to make your life easier, don't hesitate. I'll see you in about 5. It looks like support is trying to give us a bounce, aren't they? They're trying. They're like, guys, we are support. We make things bounce up sometimes. And sure enough, they're not giving up the fight. So what is it? It's the small crowd fighting the big crowd. Now, the big crowd tends to win more than they don't, which is why if we get back to this mid-band, I'm excited about a close below the small triggers. It fits my plan perfectly. But it's why I don't just jump in. It's why this is not considered an entry, right? Because support can stop a market. Support can create a bounce. All right, I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to open up NASDAQ over here, and we'll just look at it and see what it's doing. That's our range. That is our range right now. Are there any questions about the high probability trend trade? How are we doing today with it so far? There hasn't been more than, what, 3, 4, 5 trades today? You guys feeling all right with it? I like it. Three was plenty for you. Don, you did 210 points in 3 trades. And then Jen, the discussion is good. I like it. What are the support resistance bands? Those come from a company called Chart Prime Limpid. About $60 a month. They're supply and demand. You're welcome. Now, just a heads up for you guys that are not T3 indicator owners or automatic trading system owners, this room is going to go on lockdown pretty soon. So if you find this valuable, it might behoove you. Once I get that automatic trading system right where it needs to be, the room's going to focus pretty much on that. Feedback will be after class or before the market opens. There's our pullback to resistance. Thanks, support. There's a reason that large chart room is the first rule, small chart room is the second rule. Let's see if they decide to come down from here. They may not. We'll find out. We will find out. Triggers are down. Room to trouble. Because my small triggers roll up, I need a pullback to an area of resistance. The rules say that a close below the small triggers is my entry. We've got 20 seconds to think about it. We've got 8 seconds to think about it. We've got 3 seconds to realize not happening. It is, Jen. You would definitely want to be aware. And guys, remember we've got these little tails, right? Sometimes they'll push and fail, push and fail, push and fail. It is a moving average. Awareness is key, Jen. Good job being aware. We're still at resistance. I like it now because a close below is a pretty good little run. 17 to 24. That's about 7 points before you ever hit a mid band. It's about 7 points before you hit the outer band. You got to decide if that's okay for you. 7 points is about $140 per contract. Still haven't gotten a close below. Still hasn't fit the plan. So we're at the mercy of this bar. All right, this is the NASDAQ one. Oh man, my mid-band's missing too. Try Morgan's 9-day trick, see if that cleans it up. I figure until I get my settings right, one of the things we can do is look for that high probability trend trade over on the NASDAQ, see if we can make that happen. All right, it got 13 seconds, but I am directly into trouble. Right into a mid-band with the strongest triggers up I've ever seen. My rules say don't do it. You may choose to take a shot into that mid-band if that's your desire. I am obligated to sit on my hands. I'm obligated to sit on my hands into the mid-band, guys. It can create a bounce, which means that I'm not going to sit here pining about what could have been. It's just simply not my money. Just not my money. One of the most magical phrases in trading. Not my money. That would certainly make it easier, Victor. No termination on the large chart, Claire. So while there is one here, good recognition of the pattern. It's the long to the short, Claire. But without a termination on the large chart, it's an aggressive move. Can I show you something, Claire? Because you like the terms, you like the patterns, right? I want you to see something here. Let me learn you some smarts, Miss Claire. So when you get this breakout bar right there, and this one didn't do it, are you comfortable with the high volume area lines on the bar? So when I get this breakout bar, if the next bar opens above the HVA line, that's a pretty good looking trade. That's a trade that John taught for a long time. And when the rules are met, it's a great starting point. And what you're doing is you're saying that the trade looks nice enough, or the setup is getting there. Let's see if we can find a good example. And I don't see one. Well, this is a good example from the short trade that we took, Claire. And this is the same setup that you took. No terminations on the large chart. But see the white bar? And let me make my HVA lines a little easier for you to see real quick. Now, all of you are going to be like, man, I got to change my plan and take this trade. Careful. Uh-oh. Oh no, when I moved it, it messed it up. Shoot. Son of a gun, I knew that was going to happen. So we're going to get creative, Claire. If Snagit plays along. All right, so this was your white bar. Right there. Would you, Jen? Your HVA line was right here, Claire, the highest volume area of sellers. Do you see how the next bar closes below that line? Claire, that is where I am mashing the ever-loving snot out of a sell button. If I have a termination, if I get the breakout, if the smalls are below the large, and that next bar opens below the HVA line, oh my gosh. Boom. And that's perfect. That's the look right there. So Claire, on these HVA trades that you're taking, if the conditions are right, there's an opportunity to get in. The way you're taking them, there's an opportunity to get in probably 10 points better sometimes with way less risk behind the white bar that creates it. If you want to learn it, and you don't have to, I'm not trying to force things on you, but you really do like those HVA lines, I recognize that. It is this video right here that John Novak talks about it, the whys, the stop placements, the entries, the trigger lines, all of that stuff. And it was his master class that he did on it. But just because you seem so excited about those trades, it may be a way to get you better entries with a little less risk. And then market is oversold at after B trader looking for counter trend trade. And then Boaz, smalls below the large, failed miserably, right? Smalls above the large, work like a champ. There's a huge lesson there. Huge lesson. If you're going to go counter trend, there's really no reason to fight two charts. The trigger lines on the small chart will help you. Wait for things to slow down. Great second trade. You and Claire both. Claire, I hope that made sense. Here we go. You're welcome. I'll tell you what, guys, in the interest of making things better, I don't ask you guys for a lot. Let me ask this, though, if you wouldn't mind, and this is huge for us, guys. If you would take a minute, and there's two things that would help a lot. There is, if you're using the funding company, these guys right here, and look at that, we are, boom, we're in there. These nice folks right here, you can sign up, it's free, and you can actually vote for your favorite funding company. You can vote for us. It does amazing things to help us in that realm. And the other thing, if you haven't done it, or even if you have, you can do it again. If you find that you're still getting a bunch of value, which I hope that you guys are, do me a favor and go to Trustpilot and leave us a 5-star review. Guys, go tell the world how much you love this software, and go tell the world how much you love this education. It's amazing what 5-star reviews do for us. So help us out. That would be amazing. If you have it in your heart to give a little, that is the perfect gift. In a society that is driven by algorithm and social media likes, it does huge things for us to get that help from you guys. I guess the close below from resistance was it, and then Claire. Breakout bar from the area I'm looking to go short. Next bar opens below the HVA line. And that's where it goes. And then Victor, I'm certainly not trying to get you to break rules, but if I see a mid-band in the perfect pattern from resistance with everything right on the small chart, there's times where I may take a shot into that mid-band. But look what it did here. It lost miserably, right? It lost miserably. Strong triggers against. When the small triggers roll, guys, when that immediate momentum is in your favor, it changes the dynamic a little bit. It really does. What's up, John Novak? John Novak made his way into the room. Price reaches Fibonacci high. No triggers break. Nothing happening, guys. Don't trade into areas that could stop the market. That's what my rules say. Uh-oh, pulled back to the mid-band. Triggers are still down until they're up. That may not set up right. All right, y'all, we got about 10-15 minutes. What can I help you with?